Steve, I was told that I stole your seat. You want to swap? It's okay. Oh, yeah.
He's right here. One more minute.
Having a sale, but no one told me about. That it going up is the sale. Really? Yeah. Yeah.
We call to order the study meeting tonight. Here's the multi-purpose room. And right now it's a Tuesday, September 12, 2023 at 4:30 p.m. And the location right here is at 3600 Constitution Boulevard, West Valley City, Utah, 84119. And roll call, we have Lars Snowfeld here, Will Weston, Scott Harmon, and Don Christensen here, and me. And we have Mayor Land and also Jake VTC Manu as the execute themselves tonight. So we have the approval of minutes. It's August 29, 2023, a special study meeting, also September 5th, 2023. So that will turn over to the council for motion and discussion.
Motion to approve the special study meeting on the September 5th minutes.
Second.
Yeah, a motion and second. So you in favor of this motion, please say aye. Aye. So the motion passes unanimously. Okay, thank you. Review agenda for regular meeting of September 12, 2023. You have any question about that for regular meeting tonight? None. Let's move forward. Public hearings are scheduled for September 12, 2023. They're gonna be Lang Morris or Peggy Daniel. But before Lang Morris or Peggy Daniel gonna come up here and pick up the microphone, is Wayne, you have anything to say before they?
No, sir, other than
Okay.
it will be Peggy. She's standing there. Why don't you come on up, Peggy?
Okay.
And this is a new requirement, at least to my understanding. We haven't had to do this before. It's a new requirement under guidelines and policy.
Every year we have to submit an annual report on what we did the last fiscal year. And the short version is called the CAPER. And so that's what you have, I've submitted to you. And so we just need the council's approval on that before we send it to HUD. So I'm here to answer any questions if you have any, or
Peggy, this report seems different, longer than what we've had to submit in the past, or is it that we're not, it isn't different, but we have to hold a public hearing? Something's different.
yeah, they require us to post it in the newspaper and hold a public hearing on that to get any feedback from the citizens and from the city council if there are on that. The report comes out of HUD's database, and so there's no way to shorten it or make it any longer, but it's probably about only 8 pages more than what was last year. So.
And is that always required a resolution, or is that new as well?
I don't think we've had to do it by resolution either, but I could be wrong on that. Do we adopt it by resolution every year?
I don't know if it hasn't been adopted in the past by resolution. It just has to be voted on and approved.
Okay, so no public hearing, that wasn't required in the
Well, the
past.
public hearing is required. So if that's part, yes.
That's new.
Yes.
but approving it by the council was required in the past.
Yes.
So that would have been by resolution, yes.
Yes.
We didn't have a public here before, but this time. Okay.
Yeah, so,
Any question for her?
I do have a
Becky?
few questions, if I can just rapid fire. So on page 10, I don't know if we can bring it up or not, but there's a reference to the city does not own public housing and has yet to use federal funds, which I understand that be accurate, but in other sections of the document, it does state West Valley. So on page 13, it says West Valley owns 2 homes. And it also says it owns Campbell Court. I think the housing authority owns those units or facilities.
so, yeah, neither one of them are what HUD classifies as public housing. Public housing would be those that get vouchers from West. So we don't actually own public housing. We do own the Campbell Court, and we do own the 2 buildings that the Road Home leases from us.
So HUD doesn't classify Campbell Court as housing, public housing, although we own it under our own guidelines and operations in the housing
it's-
authority.
Yes, because we received it back through tax credits. Finished.
Okay, so that answers it on 16. Again, it says the city does not own public housing. But the housing authority, which acts as a subsidiary, sold its public housing several years ago. And that's not referencing Campbell Court. That's some
No,
other.
in fact, I can give you some background on that. Many years ago, and in fact, I can't remember how many it's been now since we divested ourselves of all of what they would classify as public housing, but the federal government themselves wanted us to go that way. They wanted to concentrate on using vouchers instead of owned public housing. So therefore, in accordance with their desires and, policy guidelines, we started selling those off.
That's, you're referring to like project-based Section 8 vouchers, or is that something?
I don't know it that deep. Maybe Peggy can answer.
Yeah, it's Project 8 vouchers that the Housing Authority issues. There is some that also from Salt Lake County and Salt Lake City vouchers, and the 3 of the housing authorities kind of work together to provide those throughout the county. So, but most of them are Section 8 vouchers. There is some other types of vouchers that Salt Lake County has.
Okay. On page 22, this is a minor thing. It just says the housing authority of the county of Salt Lake, but I think it's Housing Connect.
Yes, I can change that. I missed that.
And then I don't know if you can tell, if you can say this or not, maybe it's still in negotiations, but what project are we working with Housing Connect to redevelop 100 units?
I'm not quite sure. I've got some of this information from RDA, and so I'm not quite sure which one they're working with Salt Lake County on, but we did do, there are some housing that they have done that has low to moderate income set asides on that. I don't believe the last one that they're working on has any of that, but we work some of that through our home program. Currently, there is not any funding that came to, or any housing that went through home projects that are in West Valley City.
Pretty sure this is the Valley Fair
By
project.
the number. Okay. I think that's all I have.
Any other question for them? None? Okay. If not, we can move on to the next one is the resolution. 23-135, and I thank you, Peggy. And I'm gonna be who's gonna be this one? Where, and you?
I think Peggy was on board or up for it, but I can explain it. Basically, what this is in the home interlocal agreement with the other entities. Oh, go ahead, Peggy. Don't let me steal your thunder.
Oh,
Go right
it's
ahead.
okay. That's right. We are part of the home consortium with Salt Lake County and all the other entitlement cities within Salt Lake County. In the past, you approved this a few weeks ago, but since then Harriman has decided that they just qualified as an entitlement city and want to become part of the home consortium group. And so that requires a new agreement to be signed and requires it to come in front of city council again to approve that. But if you have any specific questions on the home consortium, I can answer those too.
Can you define for the council's benefit what entitlement city means?
An entitlement city is, they have to have a population over 50,000. And they also take into consideration the amount of housing and low to moderate income individuals that live within the city. And then they have a wonderful algorithm that they put all that information into, and it tells you whether or not you qualify. And so right now there are 7, and then Harriman will make 8 entitlement cities within
And
Salt Lake County.
They being HUD.
HUD, yes, sorry.
And the difference then being because you're an entitlement city, you get direct funding
Yes,
from CDB distribution as opposed to a city that's smaller than 50,000 and or doesn't meet the
Right.
other criteria.
yeah,
It would go through the county to get
county, yes.
correct.
Yeah, so Harriman's been part of the county money and now they're going to be alone. They're going to do their own CDBG program, but the home program's a little bit more requirements. They require a 25% match from city funds in order to do that. And right now the county is shouldering that for all of the rest of the entitlement cities in that, so.
And what cities have to approve this? All 7 cities have. to-
Yes. Yeah, 6 cities and the county, yes.
Any question for? None? Okay, let's move forward with the resolution 23-136. That's gonna be Sam Johnson. You want to say something before you can take over or let him do it?
No, sir, I think I'm pretty good.
Okay, good.
Good afternoon, council. Today we got to talk about puzzles. This was, I believe it was Councilmember Christensen that brought this to us about 6 months ago. To give you a quick recap, it is Dowdle now has a new program in which they work with cities to develop a piece of artwork that is then made into puzzles. They do it with the cities in collaboration with the cities so that the cities can potentially get back all of the money that they put into the original project. So the request is $150,000. And out of that, you get an original artwork piece from, I believe his name is Eric Dowdle. You also get 6,000 puzzles, and you get a small unveiling that would go along with it. And you would get the exclusivity to use that artwork however you want in perpetuity. So that could be used on the website, on social media, in any ways that West Valley City sees fit. The idea with those 6,000 puzzles that we have purchased for that 150,000 to go along with the other things is that West Valley City would have 1 year window that they could sell those puzzles back to the public. The suggested retail price, which he sells on their website and through other means, is $25. You sell 6,000 puzzles here in West Valley City, that is $150,000 and covers the initial $150,000 investment. A couple of notes from it, and you may have seen some of the material that we put together. This is a new model over the last couple of years. Tooele, I think, is the latest that did it. All of the cities spoke highly of the process. There were a couple of hiccups. One was a time frame where it was delayed by 3 or 4 months, and that was with Tooele, and they made it up to Tooele through different things. They added different things to make up for them not reaching their timeline. All of the councils were presented with the different ideas on how many puzzles they wanted to buy, and they selected different things. One of the issues that has come up, and I've heard it mentioned here, is could we get businesses throughout West Valley City to possibly contribute to the puzzles? Other city councils studied it. They decided there was no city that did it that way because they felt that they could accomplish regaining or recouping their money by doing it directly. And they wanted things highlighted from a city perspective, not necessarily from a business perspective. But all the city councils decided against that, but all of them have discussed it as well, like you all have. Those are kind of the main key points. I included a bunch of different options that you could take for that 150,000. You could get a little less, order a little less in puzzles, but get an 8 by 10 foot wall of this that could be, put up at one of our facilities here at City Hall, could be taken to events. They also have a large unveiling, which a couple of cities have done, a few have not. That is for hundreds of people potentially that could do it for an extra charge. If you went with just the original option, it's the art fee. When they break it out, the art fee is 75,000. The 6,000 puzzles, or the 6,000 puzzles is 75,000. And then it's a small unveiling as well as the original artwork that we can keep. And then the other options are kind of laid out if that's a route you wanted to pursue. If there are any questions on all of that.
Any question for him?
How will we compile the must-have list?
That is something that we'll work through. They have in the past, they maintain that they want to have the exclusive right to select the landmarks, but they want to include us in the discussion. From what I understand, if we have very strong feelings about 5 or 10 of the landmarks, I have a feeling they'll incorporate all of those, but they do put that disclaimer that they want to have that final right to choose what goes into it. But that will be up to us to figure out who's involved in that process to get what we value as a city to be on that puzzle.
So will we get input from staff, from residents, from council? What's that process?
That's something that Wayne and I discussed. That's the process that we have to determine. I think it's kind of a combination of all those that you said. I think we want input. We don't want 30 or 20 people doing it, but if we had a good core group that really know the city and understand it and have been involved in the city and have seen it through the years, I think those are the people that we'd want on it. So we can get a good recommendations on what needs to be included in that puzzle.
The cities, they sell over 6,000 or 6,000 puzzle to recuperate it, the initial.
If I understand your question, Tom, they do, or Councilmember Hune, every city that has done it, they all sold at least 50% of the puzzles within the first 4 or 5 months. Every city that I talk to believe they'll sell the 6,000 allotment, if not more, even after a year. But they'll hit that 6,000 number.
And after that year, we can still keep selling. It's
Correct.
just we won't have the exclusive rights.
Correct.
They'll also be available on Dowdle's website. Eventually, they'll be available at Costco, Walmart.
That is right. That is correct. Yeah, so we could sell it for the next 5 years, and every time we sell it, that $12.50 would come back into West Valley City at that price.
Any other question for him? No? Okay, let's move on to the next one is resolution 23-137 by Eric Bunderson.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, Council. Eric Bunderson, in my capacity as the Director of the Office of Justice and Technology today for 2 items on the agenda. The first one is the purchase of purchase and replacement of 1/4 of the police department's computers. We used to do this on a lease basis. We've since decided to do that on a purchase basis, but it's the same concept where if we keep these things fairly up to date, in 4 years is enough for us to still have certain warranties and run certain software. We're able to keep the equipment secure. And that's really the key. Is it's not so much that we want new shiny things all the time. It's that as I've told you about before, the war on our information security is ever escalating. And so the equipment has to be upgraded because the older it is, the more exploitable and vulnerable it is. And so this was in the latest budget that the council passed, and we would ask that the council approve this and we'd be able to replace these computers. Any questions about that one?
So any question for him?
What happens to the old ones?
What's that?
What happens to the old?
The old ones either get sold off as surplus or used as spares. Yeah, I think we never turned them back into the manufacturer or to the distributors. So they've always been just surplus.
Surplus store?
Mhm.
Is that,
They're scrubbed before they're surplus.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're zeroed out of all of our stuff.
okay.
Yeah.
That's a question.
Oh, yeah, that's a really big deal. And we make sure, especially the police computers, because of course they contain the most sensitive information.
Right.
Besides fire. Yeah.
Okay, so next item, and then you.
Yeah, the next item is storage from Valcom, and this item, it was on the CIP list. We knew this was coming for a couple of years, and this is the actual replacement of our physical storage for our data infrastructure here at West Valley City. And this morning, as I was talking to the IT guys, just to get an idea, to give you a scope of what we're talking about, we have about 40 million files that we store on those servers. Just one program alone stores about 10 million files. And by files, of course, I mean any kind of records like documents, but also videos and pictures that the police use as evidence. And so this is critical city infrastructure. This purchase will be the purchase of actual physical hardware that will be installed in City Hall and will afford almost double the current storage that we have. And that's very necessary. We have about 100 terabytes of stored information right now. This will get us up to about 120 or sorry, 190. The guys were telling me sometimes when we just have one phone as a piece of evidence in, let's say, a felony case, that will take up 1 full terabyte of information because of the way we have to store it and keep it and stuff. So we've looked around and we got bids on the various storage systems. This system is on the state contract. It meets our needs. It's the the best price the state could get. So it's the best price we can get. And again, we'd recommend the approval of this item next week when it comes up.
Okay, any question for him?
It's just the in-house storage, not the off-site.
Right. This is for the in-house storage, the off-site storage down at Tonnequah in St. George. Well, actually, no, this will cover that. I remember reading that in the specs this morning. So this will cover the backups at Tonnequah too, I believe. I'll get back to you if that's not the case, but I think I remember talking about that this morning. And remember, our information is all backed up down in St. George. So if we go down here, we are able to get that back through that system we have down in St. George.
You mentioned about 40 million files. Is that over 10 years, 5 years, or?
It just depends. That's a really interesting question because each file is assigned a certain retention. And so, for example, all of the files on a murder case, homicide, have to be kept forever. Regardless of form, you just have to keep those records forever. Personnel files have to be kept forever, or 2 years after someone dies, or 10 years after. The point is they each have a different retention. So we go through and we delete the ones we can to afford ourselves more storage. But we're also creating new records all the time that some of them have, certain times that we just have to store them, and some of them are forever.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, the resolution, number 23-139 by Eric Rondon. See?
Dan's gonna be
Dan, okay.
presenting that.
Dan Johnson, Public Works Director. We're bringing before you a contract and a budget opening request for a street sign replacement project, street name sign replacement project. We've had discussions in the past with the council about the state of the street signs, the street name signs throughout the city with faded logos, and we've got a solution that involves changing the sign design to a white background with a black letter and black logo. And so we went out and actually a while ago, we issued an RFP for fabrication and installation of street name signs. We got one proposal and it was about twice the amount that we had estimated in the CIP process. We estimated about 750,000 and that one proposal was 1.5 million. And so we started over and rebid a new request for proposals for fabrication only. And we got seven different proposals from 6 different companies. One company submitted 2 proposals with a couple of different products. And we're recommending that the city contract with Intermountain Traffic Safety for roughly $300,000. They'll fabricate all the street name signs and we will then install them with our own crews, either during regular working hours or on overtime or with the hiring of temporary employees. And so the cost roughly for the installation of this or for the fabrication of the signs is $300,000. We will have the Salt Lake County through our maintenance contract with them. They will install the traffic signal mast arm signs at roughly a cost of about $100,000. And then we're requesting an additional $100,000 for temporary employees or overtime to install the rest of them. And so if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Got any questions for him?
Question, who does fabricated our most recent order?
Yeah, it was Intermountain Traffic and Safety.
So we have different specs. Are we gonna end up with? Because aren't our current signs
You
the
see the
one
most-
we're emanating?
What are the most recent order? What are you talking? Are you talking the white signs we've recently had installed? Have you seen problems with those somewhere?
Well, I know there's a couple in my neighborhood that the lettering's coming off.
You're talking about our existing system, not the
Yeah.
new ones, right, Scott?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's asking about some of the temporary sort of pilot project ones we
Oh.
put up. You haven't seen any problems with any of those, have you?
There's just a few of them. There's
Yeah.
there's
Yeah,
some-
there aren't very many.
yeah.
So you couldn't, sorry, go ahead, Scott.
So the ones that we're having issues with are not from Intermountain Traffic.
No, not necessarily. No. And it was a different methodology as well. These signs will be fabricated basically using a printer that prints with an ink that is warranted. In fact, one of the things that we talked about that I didn't bring up yet is when we issued, this was not necessarily just a straight up bid, low cost bid. It was a request for proposal process, and each proposer was required to submit information on their warranty. And Intermountain Traffic Safety had the best combination of both price and warranty, giving us a 12-year warranty and we don't anticipate that we're going to see the problems that we did with the old signs. The old signs were fabricated in several different ways. Either with the film that's kind of cut out and removed, or
They had a cricket, they were just cutting them out.
basically, yeah, no, that's absolutely one of the ways that they've done it. And then the logos were essentially printed logos that were just stuck on there, that we've had quite a few problems with them fading in the sun. And so that's one of the things that was very important to us, was the warranty on this thing, on these signs. And so these signs it'll be a white background that's a reflective background, that's what will actually bounce back in your headlights, and you'll see that. And then the ink is the black ink that's printed. And so we don't anticipate that we will have the same problems that we've had before.
I thought we had a budget line item in the last for.
We do.
Sign.
When he says budget opening, it basically is just reflecting the discussion we had back during the budget period, that we weren't approving them in a budget. The money still stayed in the CIP fund balance, but then as a contract or an actual project came up, we'd come and get them approved, but it will come
Correct.
from the same pot of money.
Yes, yeah, it's not additional money, it's coming out of that CIP.
Any question? Okay, thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Yeah, item number 7 right here is a new business schedule for September 19, 2023. Just turn over to Nico. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, sir. So as you know, we had the primary election last Tuesday, September 5th. So the city council will act as the board of canvassers next Tuesday on the 19th to officially adopt those results. That is, we'll get those final results by noon. That's when the county has told me that they'll have those official final results with the official numbers. So I'll be able to publish those to your packets next Tuesday, hopefully around noon to 1. I don't expect to see any significant changes from now until then. Can I answer any questions?
Congratulations. To Will and Don. Yeah. Okay, the next item is a communication. Thank you, Nico. And we have item number 8 right here, 15 minutes. This we're gonna present this one. Let's see.
It's Rebecca Dutson,
Okay, Rebecca.
who is
Okay,
the president and CEO of Children's Center.
all right. Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, and city manager. It's really a pleasure to be here this evening and introduce our organization to West Valley City. My name is Rebecca Dutson, and I'm president and CEO of the Children's Center Utah. And I also want to introduce a team member with me, Stephanie Warner, who is our government relations manager. And we just moved into our new facility, which is about half of the former Granger Medical Clinic. And so I'm excited to spend a few minutes talking to you about the work that we do. And before I do that, I just wanted to say that we're very excited to be in your city. And we feel it's a very good fit, and it was very intentional in terms of moving our business into West Valley City. And I just personally want to commend you for the planning and the work that you've done. It just is a personal interest of mine, and have watched your city grow and develop over the years, and we're proud to be part of it. So if we can go to the first slide. The Children's Center Utah provides mental health treatment. It's evidence-based and trauma-informed to infants, toddlers, preschoolers, and their families and caregivers. So we serve our clients are ages birth through 6, and then their families and caregivers. We also provide significant amounts of training to early childhood providers, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So if we can go ahead and go to the next slide. Thank you. We were established in 1962, and so we have been
leaders in the field of early childhood mental health for 60 years. We're celebrating our 60th year anniversary, and moving into this new facility is really a capstone as we look toward the future. Next slide, please. I know that for some people, you maybe haven't stopped to think about the mental health concerns of infants, toddlers, and preschoolers. It isn't something that's often talked about, but all of us have mental health, and young children also experience mental health challenges. And so part of our work is increasing awareness about that and providing the treatment to children and families that help those children gain the tools that they need to thrive along with their families. Suicide is the leading cause of death among children in Utah, ages 10 to 17. When I learned that statistic, and like you know, you're probably aware of the suicide rates in Utah. It's also the leading cause of death among youth ages 18 to 24. I don't think that's acceptable. And the way that we affect that is by doing more work upstream with children when they're younger and their families. National research shows that Utah's among a group of states with the highest prevalence of child and adolescent mental health needs, and also among a group of states with the highest untreated mental health concern. It is estimated that 10 to 20% of Utah's approximately 460,000 children will experience some type of mental health concern in their years birth through age 8. So you can see that the need is significant, and the outcomes are significant when we can work together with families. So there is a demonstrated measurable link between untreated mental health needs of young children and later challenges in life, not only with that individual's ability to function well in society, but also layering on the additional costs of health impacts that come along with untreated mental health disorders. So it's just a really important thing when we think about how do we, if we can go to the next slide, you know, how do we help get ahead of this? So a couple of things in the past few years, I think the pandemic, of course, brought to light many of the mental health concerns, not only among adults, but also children. So just a few notes about the U.S. Surgeon General declaring an emergency. The American Academy of Pediatrics, of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, and the Children's Hospital Association also declared a national emergency. And last year, a consortium of another set of groups declared an emergency. So it's not something that's just going to go away. We need to do some things to help support it. If we can go to the next slide, I'll just briefly mention, I'm sure many of you have heard of the term ACEs, or adverse childhood experiences. These are experiences that young children have in their lives that include dysfunction, abuse, and neglect in the environment that they're growing up in. If those adverse experiences are left untreated, we see the effects later in life. And we know that it's more expensive. It's always more expensive to correct problems later than it is to address them upstream. And so that is where the Children's Center Utah comes in. And if we can go to the next slide. The Children's Center Utah, again, has been around for 60 years, providing this service to our communities and our state. Our founder, Dr. Augie Plank, was a woman very ahead of her time, understanding that if we work with a child and we engage their family, we can give them the tools they need to manage their emotions, to regulate their feelings and understand them, and to advocate for their needs appropriately, both with the peers and the adults in their lives. And so you can just see the level of service. In our facility, we treat approximately 1,100 children and their families every year. And we provide outpatient clinical services. And also we have a therapeutic preschool, which is essentially intensive group therapy, little bit akin to day treatment, but for very young children. So a child and family would be in outpatient therapy. And then if that child needs more intensive services, they come into our center every day, 5 days a week for 3 hours a day. And we have a transportation team that goes out to that family, picks up that child, brings the child into our center, and then takes them home. For any of you who've tried to sustain visiting a therapist yourself or with a member of your family, you know how difficult that can be. And so our goal is to make that as easy as possible so that we can provide the services to families. If we can go to the next slide. I think I've touched on this in terms of the type of treatment, but I'll just mention that it is dyadic treatment. So it's the child and family and their caregivers together, and it's focused on attachment and helping that child and that family build a strong relationship so that that child has the protective factors in their life to help them be resilient and to bounce back from the difficulties that they have faced or that they may face. Next slide, please. I think just for the sake of time, I'll go ahead and skip over this next slide. I want to talk about some of the services that we offer statewide in addition to the direct clinical services that I described. We have 5 programs that are now statewide, and our plans are to expand statewide with bricks and mortar locations. Our next location that we will build is in Utah County, and that's scheduled to open in 3 years. And so we're about the business of training more early childhood providers about the importance of infant and early childhood mental health so that individuals who are working in childcare centers and preschools all the way through to pediatricians and licensed clinical social workers and other clinicians who may not be trained in infant and early childhood mental health have a better understanding of some of the basics and how to help the children that they interact with. So that is the work of our early childhood consultation and training team. We're working with the state on a new grant that was just awarded. It's called the PDG, or the Preschool Development Program grant, and that is working in a very specialized way where our team of clinicians is working with the children who have the most acute needs. We do provide training statewide. We've reached more than 2,000 providers throughout the entire state because we offer our training virtually, which was a byproduct of the pandemic. And using technology differently. So it's very exciting to think that we're getting that kind of reach throughout the state. We are also in the process of implementing an infant toddler court program in a few of our court districts throughout the state. And that is specifically engaging the justice system with the child welfare system. And really thinking about how do we lessen the trauma that children are experiencing who are in the welfare system and helping that whole family. And then, of course, the final thing that's mentioned there is a training program that we're working on with other providers to talk more about trauma and the effects of it and how to be a trauma-informed organization and provider. Next slide, please. Okay, so one of the things I'm sure you're very well aware, but there are a lot of workforce challenges, and I will just mention in the mental health field, behavioral health professionals in Utah are about 1/3 fewer than the average available across the US. So per 100,000 people, In the US, there's usually approximately 330 providers. In Utah, it's about 220. So we're working specifically to train providers. We have an American Psychological Association accredited program where we bring in doctoral interns from throughout the United States. It's a competitive process, but they're trained and they earn their doctoral training in our organization. We then retain them into a postdoc residency, and our hope is to always hire those individuals. That doesn't always work when you're bringing in people from out of state. They may want to take that knowledge back to their own home communities. But our goal is to strengthen the workforce here and to be able to allow us to expand our services more broadly throughout the state. Next slide, please. Public awareness and program and policy development. These are two key components to helping us bring in more resources so that we can provide more services. We have to raise awareness, help people understand the importance and the benefit of going upstream. It's estimated that every year $248 billion are spent on youth and adults whose early childhood mental health concerns were left untreated. So it's expensive, but it's not nearly as expensive when we go upstream. Okay, next slide. So I think when I think about being in a conservative state, there are all kinds of reasons economically to think about doing this work upstream. It always costs less. The resources are reduced that we spend later in life. And when we can help a child grow into a thriving youth and adult, that child and also their family can remain productive members in our economy. And at the end of the day, I think the thing that is most important is that we're giving that child and their family a better lived experience. It's a better human experience for them that they'll carry on with them throughout their lives and into the next generation. So that's the real win in our book, is the human bottom line. If we can go ahead and go to the next slide, and maybe one more, Nicole. I think I just will show you, go ahead, one more. Just a few renderings of our campus. You can see that it's designed with children in mind. It has elements in nature, and it's just a very warm and welcoming environment. We have a team of about 100 people, and we're very busy. And again, we're glad to be contributing out here in West Valley City. And on the next slide, if you don't mind, Nicole, there's just a quote from a well-known pediatrician in our valley, Dr. William Cosgrove, who just understands the importance of our work and the referral source that we are to so many early childhood professionals working throughout the state of Utah. I have about taken my time. I just would, of course, want to answer any questions that you may have.
Have any question for Rebecca?
We're glad you're here.
Okay, well, with that, I would just extend an invitation to you to come to our press conference and ribbon cutting on the 25th. It's at 10 a.m. on the south side of our building, and we're looking forward again to being here, and you know where to find us. So thank you so much for the time.
Thank you so much. The next one is that you, Wayne, is that service schedule review?
Hey, sir, I don't have any presentation to make for you. We had a discussion we had last time, as I understood it, was you wanted to have a discussion amongst yourselves again on the debt service. So we did provide the summary as well as the debt service schedules for each of those pieces of debt to you in your council packet.
We have the rate of that money,
Yeah, there's an average. We do have that across all of it. It's an average of something like 3.5. We do have obviously the individual numbers. For whatever reason, this particular one, I'm not sure if we had an earlier version and a different discussion that had the rates on there, and this is the one that got put on, but yeah, we do have those.
So that would be, I mean, part of, I think,
I have a printed one myself with some notes on it that Jim supplied me. I can tell you any individual one question on. Again, like I said, the weighted cost of all of them across is 3.59%. That subtracts out the hotel one, which is being paid by, of course, our private partner.
so if, I don't know if you can get us rates on some of these, the ones that are callable.
There's 3 that are callable, so I can tell you them really easy. So if one paid off this year, so that doesn't really matter.
There, right?
The one on top there that's got the line through it.
I don't have a line through.
Oh, I'm
mine,
sorry.
but
It's the,
730 was the percentage
It's the
amount?
2013 sales tax revenue for the
Yeah.
public safety storage and animal
Storage
shelter.
animal shelter.
Yeah,
That was
so that
paid
was
off.
paid off. And then the only other 2 that are callable are the 2020 tax increment revenue and the 2010 sales tax revenue, both of which, I'm sorry, I'm wrong, the 2021 road revenue. The earlier one's at 1.6% and the road revenue one's at 1.91%.
Okay, so any of them that are over 3.5% are not callable.
Correct.
That answers my question.
Maybe we can have this maybe next week, so Mayor and also Jake, PDC, Manu, and they have some question or something. So all of us, we can discuss about this. It just postpone for this one for one more week. So can.
You want to just add the interest rates on those callable
Yeah.
ones, and then we can
So
just
they,
do another 4-minute review next week.
Yeah, that's no problem.
yeah. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. Item C right here, the council calendar. Any question about that? Anything you want to say about calendar? None? New business.
I was just gonna say, we need a trophy for Craig for all the parties. so,
Probably every year.
you know.
And by this point, his wall at home would be floor to ceiling.
Need a
with
statue.
Yeah, yeah.
Here on
Great job. Good season.
Can we do like maybe the spray seat, so maybe people they can sign up, because sometimes we run into like 7 or 8
I think we did that, didn't we? Yeah,
parties.
pretty sure we did do that.
Do what?
Like a spreadsheet to sign up to
Yeah.
which ones you want to go to.
Well, it was a spreadsheet that separated the major night, like you
Yeah.
had the major night that had
I mean,
20 different.
Yeah, that's right.
parties.
Yeah.
I mean, like the people they host the party,
Well, it says it on the sheet.
You
You
see
see, post it.
right? I
What do
mean,
what do you want to
For
do?
people to sign up.
I mean, like, because people they sign up, because all combined one day into like 7 or 8 parties.
So like we tell the residents, we have
We can only have 8
4
per
a
day.
night.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, I think they pretty much drive when they want to do it.
We don't want to direct them.
Yeah,
But
but
and
yeah, it's-
we do our best
That's
to get
great,
to
I
it.
know.
I know a lot of people know Craig could have probably consolidated them together.
And
Where, because they were one neighborhood over here, one neighborhood over here, one up here.
I'm not really sure he could. I get a lot of the
A lot of them
background
were-
feed from
that
Craig.
was What they wanted was that
They did
smaller
want
group.
to.
That's
Some of them did.
their neighborhood.
Oh, okay.
And
Well,
that's
that
what
might
it was
be
all
a
about.
suggestion for next year.
So
Yeah,
that's why, they didn't have
yeah.
a
My
lot of them together.
My neighborhood has 4,
Yeah.
but and I kept telling them that we're getting a city park
Get 'em
someday.
Park where we can hold them
Up
on.
Rock's Farm, and so then we could have them all there but right now, it'd be hard to have. Well, we could do it,
I'm sure Craig's open to that. I mean, he's pretty accommodating, whatever they want to do
yes.
year to year or something.
Yeah, but he has done a great job though. Let
Yeah.
him know that.
He has.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. New business right here, potential future agenda items, any things you want to bring it up last week?
Can we get an update sometime of the code enforcement website and QR code discussion that we had?
Yeah, sure. You just want to review how it's going or?
Yeah, I mean, I got a courtesy notice this last week at work, from West Valley. I didn't say QR code. I think we've talked about having that on there.
Yeah, okay. Well, assuming everybody wants to do that. I think.
Yeah, that'll be okay.
I'm not protesting the courtesy notice. It's all legit.
I think we're good.
Totally fine.
There may be some loose ends still to tighten up, like the QR code. Yeah, I haven't even looked for that, but yeah, I think we're pretty much there.
Well, actually, they did a very good job, to be honest with you. They sent me a courtesy note, and then when they check one of my rental properties, and then when it's done, then they send me a car thing but the car say, well, we checked your property and everything is done, and
Good.
just let you know it's off the list. So I think that's very, very good. I follow up with that. I think that's wonderful. Yeah,
Good deal.
That's
Glad to
what
hear
I
it.
want to tell you. Anything else you want to bring it up? Well, I want to bring it up one interaction I had with the police officer last week, and so I emailed it to Wayne and to Colin Jacobs about it privately. But I didn't want to bring it to the council. We can learn something together. I think that'd be beneficial for our city. So I want to put that agenda for next week, if you don't mind.
I don't know if it's something for the council to discuss really.
Okay, so I mean, I work with Wayne.
You've already worked with me, or I've already given you the answer I'm gonna give you.
Well, I keep the private. I don't want to bring it up
Okay.
here. Okay,
Then we don't bring it up in council meeting. 'Cause
yeah,
Council meeting ends privacy.
yeah, that's what I said, to keep the private between me and Wayne. Okay, so council reports, any council report?
Did attend the mosquito abatement district meeting on Monday. Our director there, our manager is retiring the end of this month. And placed him with the assistant manager. And did it as an internal board function. The board interviewed all applicants qualified and suggested the assistant manager just move up, and so we've seen before Stan McBride, who's been out doing education and a lot of the presentations to the cities. He'll move up into that position basically as of Monday, because that is, he'll be working closely with him for the rest of the month and then change offices. But I think it's a very good decision, and mosquitoes this year, we have trapped up through the end of August over 120,000 mosquitoes. The traps that we have. Our 5-year trap average is 56,000.
Do we have more traps out though?
No. Have the same traps. There's more fill in the traps.
Yeah.
But we definitely have more water.
We definitely had more water. The wet winter, mosquitoes came out. We've got mosquitoes being reported.
Who gets to count those?
We have an in-house lab, and they go through and they not only count them, but they count them by type. genus, so. We've had mosquitoes trapped up Solitude. We've never had mosquitoes that high up in the mountains before. We're trapping them up there this year, so they are spreading. So if you get a few mosquito bites, there's a lot more mosquitoes to bite you. So feel lucky you only get a few, okay? But we've treated double the amount of acreage that we usually treat. It's just been a bad mosquito year because of the winter last year and the late summer. Mosquitoes have been a little bit more.
We'll take the water.
We'll take the water. We'll enjoy the water.
Any more reports of West Nile?
There have been 3 cases in Utah. And they've all been in rural district or rural counties. But that's all. No deaths or anything. We have had 3 cases reported in, and the way they report those is that, we found them in those pools of mosquitoes. We found it in the pools of mosquitoes. These 3 cases are human cases. So it's not like it is in Florida or Texas.
Did they circle like certain area has more than certain area, like maybe area A has more mosquito and circle area B?
Yeah,
They study that too?
they study it out that way too, but the reports we get are just the total report.
I see. How West Valley City general?
It's right in there with everybody else. We've got more mosquitoes. But we have not had any pools that have tested positive for West Nile or anything like that.
Okay. So normal stuff. Okay.
So
Anyone else?
Mayor Pro Tem, I just was wondering if I could back up to potential future agenda items.
Sure.
Would it be possible to get a standing agenda item on the status of our hiring process, or is that too frequent of a?
You know what? That was asked for before, and I think we just forgot to put it on there. So I think you guys did direct us to do that. I'll take that as my bad. I forgot that it was on there.
Can we get a quick
Or the
report
not on
today?
there. Sure, we can. John, you want to come up and give a report on the search status?
you look excited to do that.
Hello, John Flores with HR. As far as an update goes, you guys will be voting on a change tonight on the job description. Well, on city code, which will affect the job description. And so really we're waiting to finalize that. That would be the kind of starting document that they're looking for to get things going. So they are aware that that will be addressed tonight. And then from there, I have a set of documents ready to send over to them. They will start reviewing and get things scheduled. They are ready to go. So there's some things coming up that they wanted to get scheduled. And so as soon as that's done tonight, we will get things sent over, and you will be notified. One of the first things they want to get scheduled is meeting with you as a council to get to fully understand what it is you're looking for, learn more about the city, what type of person, what type of city manager you want, and then they will get some information put together and back to us. So
Are they gonna send somebody live to do that, or how do they do that?
yep, they will have someone come in person. Sounds like most likely it is going to be their president, CEO, who would like to come out here himself and meet with you. So any specific questions?
Were you able to refine the definition of residency at all on the code?
Yes, yeah, those are there for you tonight to look at. So yeah, we provided 3 different options. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. That's a discussion list tonight too, so maybe just hold on for another week, maybe next week, and so Mayor and Jay can be here. Okay, good. Awesome. Number 10 is motion, and is any post session for tonight? No, okay, good. Well, last motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, so we adjourn, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so we adjourn. Thank you.